On a sunny winter morning, Paul and Chris were playing on top of a frozen lake that was located about 1.5 kilometers from where they live. Paul and Chris met when they were 3 years old, and they were friends and neighbors. They met each other very well, and their friendship was based on trust and love to each other. That morning, they've been playing for about 2 hours. On one side of the lake, there was a small road that connected the different suburbs around. Suddenly, one very, very heavy and unusually big truck passed along the road, and everything started to vibrate. Even the vibration, the boys felt the vibration underneath their feet. They laughed at this sensation and kept playing. However, about 2 minutes later, they started hearing how the ice started crushing, and suddenly a hole was formed, and Chris fell into the hole, sliding underneath the layer of ice. Paul was very desperate. He started to yell for help, but no one was answering. So he saw a big rock, he took it and started smashing at the ice in order to open another hole where Chris was under the water. Finally, he could form a crack. The crack started to grow, and Paul could pull Chris from the frozen water. A few minutes later, some of the neighbors arrived, and they called the firemen, and the firemen were very, very surprised on how Paul could hit this very big layer of ice. They thought, well, this is a 12-year-old and very thin, and it's not possible to break this layer, this thick layer of ice just by himself. An old lady was listening how the firemen discussed, and she suddenly approached them and said, well, I know how Paul did it. The firemen were very surprised and said, how? The woman answered, because there was no one telling Paul that he cannot do this. So the firemen thanked the lady, and back into the base that afternoon, they kept talking about how in previous experiences they have seen ordinary people doing the extraordinary things under unusual circumstances, and they reflected on the comment of the lady. Later that night, some of them couldn't help reflect on this. They thought, how many times when I have a new challenge or a dream, I have heard these internal and external voices that said, you cannot do this. You are too young, or maybe you are too old. You don't have the resources. So from that day on, the men decided that when they have a new dream or a new challenge, they were going to do whatever it took to accomplish this dream or to overcome this challenge. And they were going to minimize these internal and external voices that says, you cannot do this. Have a great day.